The safety car was the big winner at Sandown for round 2 of the Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships. Few races were unaffected after an incident-packed weekend that saw several lucky escapes and some great racing. The most spectacular incident happened early Sunday morning in the Formula V race, when the car of Phil Oakes climbed the tyre wall at the top of the main straight and flipped over. Thankfully, the car landed on its wheels and Oakes was uninjured. Sportsedan driver Neil Bryson was another to escape without injury after he lost control of his V8 Calibra on the main straight in Saturday's first race. Despite the high-speed crash, the car looked to have held up well and Bryson was unhurt. The meeting had a touch of the Deb Ball about it, as several cars made their debut. Ted Huglin's new Lamborghini Gallardo LP560 attracted plenty of attention, with a constant stream of visitors to his garage to take a look at the new car. The car only arrived in Melbourne last Tuesday, but it was quick straight out of the box and, according to Ted, was already an improvement over his previous machine.
It's got a little bit more grunt. Gearbox is fantastic. It comes through very quickly. The only downer for me is that the old Lamborghini had power-assisted brakes. This one doesn't, so you have a lot more travel on the pedal. It takes a bit of getting used to. But once I got used to that, I broke my best Sandown time by 1.2 seconds, so that's a pretty good start, and I'm hoping to do better as I get to know the car.
The car was chaperoned to Australia by Ryder Engineering's Hubert Thunbichler, who pointed out that despite the external similarity with the previous car, the new machine was a very different beast under the skin.
Okay, this new car, the Gallardo LP560 GT3, is a complete different car now to the old one, because the old car is based on a street car, more likely. The new one is a complete race car. It's designed, all parts are completely designed for racing, like a GT1 car. Yeah.
Is that something that's happening with GT3 now? I mean, the original idea was the cars would be a lot more affordable, but now we're seeing cars like this and the Ford GT and the Audi R8, very, very advanced cars. Is there a danger that they're becoming too advanced and too far removed from the original road car?
Yes, this is the point at the moment, is that the cars goes more like race cars again, as in other classes also, but that's motor racing. So if the prices are still the same, like in the old cars, then it will be the existing the class will be still existing, the GT3 class.
After qualifying 8th, Huglin stormed through to start 3rd in the feature race. Max Twigg won the start in his Porsche Cup Car S, but after one of the several safety car periods, Huglin and Ian Wilson snuck through to grab the lead. Twigg made it past Wilson's new TVR Tuscan, but couldn't get past the Lamborghini. Huglin crossed the line first, but his joy was short-lived after he received a 28-second penalty for jumping one of the many restarts, handing the win to Twigg's Porsche. Wilson also received a penalty for a jumped restart. Daniel Reinhardt made a perfect start for the new Sabre 02, winning all 4 Formula V races and setting a new lap record in the process. Things didn't go quite as smoothly for some of the others, with Dandenong Road catching out both Anthony Diana and David Frith. Heath Collinson looped his car at turn 1, but without any damage. After the race, it was a delighted Daniel Reinhardt who was full of praise for his brand new car.
Through the corners, I just seem to be gapping them. The car just sits and exits the corner so nicely, and I can just get the power down and just smooth exits, and I think that gives us a good run down the straight.
A huge field of sports sedans saw a great fight between Chris Muscat in the triple rotor Mazda RX-7 and Dean Cam's big V8 Corvette. This race too was marred by safety cars. First, Shane Woodman spun his Capri V8 out of turn 3. Then, less than half a lap into the restart, Patrick Matchett in the big XA Falcon rolled to a stop at turn 2. Cam caught Muscat going past the Silver Bullet into turn 1 as Chaz Talbot celebrated by spinning his Commodore into the gravel. Cam took the win under the yellow, while Luke Chambers took second after Muscat had problems on the final lap. The MG and invited British sports car race was a battle royal between South Australian Tom Hutchison in the TR8 Triumph and Mort Fitzgerald's MGB GT V8 Roadster. Hutchison led early, but Fitzgerald was soon passed and looked set to take the win. Bob Nordlinger had his hands full in 3rd place with the indecently quick MG midget of Gary Prunster. Hutchison returned to the lead after Fitzgerald struck problems, but his run to the checkered flag was upset when Prunster came from nowhere to pass the TR8 at turn 4 to take a most unexpected victory. Gary Jacobson broke through to win both the feature and the round in Formula Ford. Once again there was plenty of action, including this big lose by Sam Howard coming down the hill. His car hit the tyres hard, but the driver thankfully managed to walk away unassisted. But the performance of the weekend had to go to Ray Hislop's BA Falcon in improved production. The Tasmanian decimated the locals, easily winning all 4 races and whopping an extraordinary 4 seconds off the category lap record in the process. The Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships will return to Sandown for round 3 on July 23rd to the 25th. The Victorian State Circuit Racing Championship is widely regarded as the premier state-based race series in Australia. One of the reasons is the incredibly high quality of the cars involved. Nowhere is this more clearly evident than in the Victorian Sports Car Championship. The series attracts a dream factory showroom of classic GT racers straight from the racetracks of Europe. Lamborghinis, Porsches and Ferraris are joined by highly modified older cars, providing an interesting mix of makes and eras. The latest newcomer to the ranks originally hails from Great Britain. Owned by South Australian Ian Wilson, this TVR is a popular racing marque back in England. Now, here in Australia, Wilson is confident that once fully developed, the TVR can match it with the European GT3 thoroughbreds.
The car's actually a TVR Tuscan brought out from the UK. It's an ex-challenge car that ran in the UK for about 10 years, 12 years. We've bought the car minus engine and gearbox, imported it into Australia, and then we've used our own Rover V8 engine and our Hollinger gearbox. Set up the suspension to suit our tracks, which are quite different to the UK. So this is the first meeting. We're still ironing out the bugs and trying to get it right, but seems good at the moment.
The engine came out of your TR8, which was very successful over the years. What sort of power is that engine putting out now, and what's the size of it?
The engine in this TVR at the moment is 5.4 litres and it's 550 horsepower. The engine that was in the TR7 we had previously was about 500 horsepower and it was a 5 litre, but we left that engine in the car when it got sold to New Zealand. This is a whole new engine from scratch.
The interesting thing having a look at this engine is it looks like it's almost mounted in backwards because the exhaust run forward. Tell us about that. I believe that's a TVR trait.
Yeah, all TVRs tend to try and get the engine as far back inside the cabin as you can. Therefore, there's no room for exhaust to exit in the normal style. They run forward and just sweep around, and then there's a side exit muffler out the side.
Having the exhaust that close to the radiator, does that cause any overheating problems?
No, look, today the car's running at 75 degrees. We haven't had any issues at all with temperature. It's really proving to be quite good at the moment, but suspension setup's our big one. That's where we'll get some pace from it.
The other interesting thing is the car looks remarkably stock in terms of the aerodynamics, apart from a bit of an aerodynamic under tray. No big wings that we see in some of the other cars. I mean, is that all part of the plan for the future?
Probably end up changing and putting an aero package on it because the speeds we're going to be doing in the car are quite high, particularly at Phillip Island. And we're going to need to get a better wing on the rear, a bit more downforce. We'll probably do a bit more with the front air dam and get a better splitter on the car. But that's, you know, again, we just want to do a basic setup on the car, how we've got it now, get some test miles on the car, and then we'll look at developing a better bodywork for it so it can handle the higher speeds we're going to be doing with the engine that's got more power.
The TVR made an impressive debut at Sandown, running near the front and setting competitive lap times, despite what was clearly an all-too-stiff setup and a severe lack of aerodynamic downforce. Once developed, however, Wilson's new beast could be more than just nuisance factor for some of the more expensive machinery. You've been watching the In Pit Lane podcast from Sandown International Motor Raceway. We'll have more to come in the next few weeks. Until then, thanks for joining us. Bye for now.